II Museum grand opening this weekend. My mom actually works there, and she's been rubbing elbows with Tom Hanks and Drew Reed. Yeah, she texted me, I just walked past so very jealous. But I actually got to go last weekend because her family was invited, and I actually did the theater experiment and experience and saw the show, and it is amazing. I walked out of that theater saying, oh, okay, that's what happened in World War II, you know. It's a great field trip. I don't know if you know close stuff. However, I teach fourth grade. I don't think I bring my fourth graders there. Lots of loud noises, lots of darkness, and some pictures and kind of graphics. So, but I mean, if I taught high school, even 7th or 8th grade, I would. I mean, it goes into detail and just totally paints the picture for you. So anyway, just wanted to put a little plug in for them. All right, so I did immigration in the 1800s. This lesson in particular spanned over 2 days, but we had kind of spent a week talking about immigration and what they knew, just reading, articles and things like that. So they kind of had an overview. I've also been to Ellis Island and go to New York for tourist tracking. So I had pictures to show them of the building when they remodeled it, and I got to show them pictures of the registry room now, and I talked about my experiences and what I felt and what I saw. If you've been there, the little side rooms where they said, okay, there was, 10, 20, 30, 40 people shoved in these little rooms awaiting, their passage and entry into America. We talked about how if you go to New York, you can still see, little Italy and Germantown, Chinatown, things like that, and that, the reason why they're like that is because when they settled, they settled with people like them and created their own little culture. So they kind of had a good background. So what I did is, this is the overview. They're going to know about how they got here, even the conditions on the ships, what they went through at Ellis Island, and then how they acclimated to the new world. Their objectives were to make inferences of how they came and how they felt, to explore the primary resources on the internet, to understand how they got here, and to compare and contrast all the viewpoints from the different immigrants that came to America, not only from just the different ages, but the class of people, poor and rich. They got here in different ways. The rich came in luxury, the poor came as pretty much cargo and things like that. So what I did is this website, and hopefully all this works because if not, I'm in trouble. I first let them explore this website, PBS Kids. They could go anywhere on the website. I knew that they would find information that just wasn't too much for them to handle at a 4th grade level. There was some primary sources, lots of pictures, and there were even some interviews from historians that could tell about the time period. So I allowed them to do this. At the end of my lesson, I realized that I probably would have cut this whole part out because I think what I have to follow is just a little bit more meaty than this was. So, but anyway, this is on the PowerPoint if they put it up. They can explore. It's the Coming to America link, and they can go through all of this. We talked a great deal about the Irish. We kind of actually went into what we call them tangents. This teaching moments, we talked about how actually this historian says how these Irish Americans were treated so badly, and not only in their own country, which is why they left. This is a family evicted from their own country. But even when they came to America, they faced no one would hire them, no one would give them places to rent, and they were just starving. Kids on the street were trying to peddle things just to make money. And we talked about that. About if you were an Irish immigrant, you came with your family. Here you think you're coming to this wonderful thing, and you're now on the side of the street trying to sell newspapers or you go into that. Okay, so then I read this book called Immigrant Child, and I forgot to bring it, but it's just excerpts of when they were children, and it talks about what they did when they went to school, how they played, and working in the factories in the long hours. So then we got into a discussion about that. All of this was inquiry. How do you think they felt? What would you do if you had to go to school and then go straight to the factory and work till really late at night, wake up and start all over again? The one thing that they liked the best in this book was it talks about children at play. And one of the excerpts for the children was, we ruled the street. So they said that, everywhere they went in there, when they, as immigrants, it was always the adult world. The one place that they could go and be children was the street, and they would hang out in the street. There was pictures of them playing stickball and just running around. And somebody said, oh, like on Annie, when the kids were, and I said, yeah, pretty much, just like that. I mean, they could do what they wanted. There was even a picture of the children playing, and you could see the little police guy kind of standing there watching, like, oh, I see that on movies all the time. I said, and that's pretty much what it was. That was their world. Okay, so on the day one, we started to navigate these primary sources. And all my lesson plans, which I'm sure they'll upload, every primary source has inquiry questions to go with it. But I just wanted to get them, all of these were from the Library of Congress, and I just wanted them to see as much as they could and just talk about it, ask questions. So the first one, I'm not going to read through all of them, I'm just going to kind of show you, because I thought they were kind of neat. I could spend all day looking at them. The first one was some statistics on immigration, and actually these statistics are from 1902 and not 1903, and not really from the 1800s, but I just think it's really neat that you can see the actual sheet of paper. They have the stamps on it when it was received. It went through the Library of Congress December 1st of 1903. But anyway, I kind of put a math lesson in this. How many more immigrants did they get in just 1 year? And they had to solve questions like that. I asked them to try to figure out what all this other stuff meant. I mean, they're still kind of new to learning the percentages and things like that. The next one was really neat, huge, but it is an actual certificate of residence for a Chinese immigrant. It's just really neat. It has his picture there and everything. So I asked some questions like, who stamped the paper? What is this document? Try to figure it out. Can you read any of the handwriting? What country is this person from? Can you tell when it was issued? How do you think this man felt when he received this paper? What is the significance of this paper? Well, if they read really clearly, Congress started putting acts on and limiting the amount of immigrants from each country. So if you read this paper, this was actually saying that, hey, he was here before the act was passed, and that he's allowed to stay, and that he's a legal citizen of America. So
was that the 1850s act about the Chinese immigration?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure this was in 1892.
Well, that's
so yeah, like when those other.
So he was saying that when that act went through, that he was already here.
Right, exactly. So. The next one is a picture of people going through the checkpoints at Ellis Island. We talked about how they were marked on their clothing. We had talked about this, how families were torn apart, and a lot of times they either were coming to meet part of their family that were already here, or they were sent and half of their family was left behind just because they had to work to pay to make money. We in one of the books, in the Immigrant Kids book, Immigrant Child book, it told about the story about a little girl, and it was in her words, but it said how she was finally coming to America now. She had pretty much saying how she had butterflies in her stomach. It had been 5 years since she saw her father. Her father had come, the whole story about how he had come to work to save money to get them there. And I said, guys, it wasn't even like, Dad went away for 4 months and saved money. It was 5 years. I mean, that's 5 years without seeing your father. And then we talked about how would you feel, how did this little girl feel when she saw her father? And then it goes on to say, the kids really thought this was great, but the father picked him up. The father was excited to see him. The kids were excited to see him. They're walking down the street, and they feel like they're strangers. And they feel like everybody's staring at them. And was everybody really staring at them? No, probably not. They were just like other people on the street. But to her, this was a new place. She felt alienated. She felt everything was foreign. Anyway, the father, is very excited to show them where they're going to live, and they walk into pretty much a matchbox that is as hot as an oven, and they're standing there, and she said we could just see my father's face completely go from excitement to despair and what have I done to my family. And the mother, she said that my mother just looked at him and said, you mean we left our farmhouse on our land to come to this? And she said, the hurt, just the total, and then there they are, they're in this place and they've left all this behind. So the kids really feel that just neat to know. This is the picture of them checking the eyes of the immigrants. So I asked questions about that. Why do you think they're checking their eyes? What do you see in the background? Look at the amount of, there's 3 people right here, this is all they have. And then we talked about if you were an immigrant and you had to leave, you could only fit things in a small chest or a pillowcase, what 10 things would you bring? And you're going to need some needs in there. You're going to need some clothing and maybe a blanket to stay warm, so you can't just take all the fun stuff. And that led to discussion on that. And the last one, which is the most interesting, and I'm actually going to play part of it because I find it, this is what they like the best. It's a song that was written, and I'm just going to, well, you can see who it's by, called Don't Fight the Hand That's Feeding You. I hope this has something happen.